Hello everyone, Florian.Heise here and welcome to another and rather special episode of HeiseSays because I have a guest on today. Jazzy, also known as Jazzy Melhop, one of the local candidates for the Stretton By-Election. Thank you very much for taking time out this morning to speak to me.
Thank you for having me on the show.
Yes, and well, I'm a constituent of this. I'm just going to bring up the image here, showing people where we are. If we have a look here, so this is the electorate, and sadly, the former member has passed, only 40 years old, the poor guy, and we now have a by-election, and you're one of the candidates that is running in this election, and we'll just have a look. This is a ABC article here, and we've got, who do we have? We've got the Greens, Labor, LNP, yourself, and the Animal Justice Party. So we've got, 5 choices here. I thought it would be interesting to bring you on the show. One, because of my own selfish interest in hearing from the different candidates. And 2, because it's really topical what's going on at the moment here in Australia. And I think a lot of people may be interested in hearing the opinions and perspectives from yourself and from your party.
Yep, sounds great. I'm here to share. So
maybe we get started by, what this is your second time taking a swing at running. What prompted you? You're just a glutton for punishment. You can't help it, or why are you going for it?
Okay, well, it's a great question. I last year when we were all shut down for COVID things, basically I lost my job. I was unable to work for some time because of my profession, and also I got wind of the fact that there was going to be this vaccine that was untested, unproven, untried, and I was definitely not going to get it. And there was word of it being mandatory, and that everyone's going to have to do this, and whether you like it or not. And it sounded a little bit it sounded like something I just definitely didn't want to be involved in. And I just thought, well, I need to do something about this. What can I do? And that's where it all began. And a girlfriend of mine invited me to see Alona Lan speak. Alona Lan is the IMOP Queensland leader. And I heard her speak, and I just thought, wow, that's pretty cool. And she said, and then my friend said to me, oh, they're looking for candidates. And I just immediately said, I need to be in on this. I'm in. So I went to meet Alona.
So that was your... Well, that got you politically activated. Were you involved in politics at all before what happened last year?
No. That was April last year, May last year that happened. So yeah, I had never been involved in politics. I have a background in community welfare, so I do have quite an idea of how that sort of services work. I never went, I think I'll be the Prime Minister one day.
I think it's happening more and more. I'm hoping this will be the silver lining over everything that's happened in the last couple of years. Sadly now, it's been that long. And people will start to wake up and actually put an effort into politics. Because if we don't get normal people running, we're just going to have more of the same again and again and again. And people will get frustrated and disengage.
Exactly right. And last year in the state election in October, the Informed Medical Options Party, who were formed in 2016 as a result of the No Jab, No Pay, No Play legislation that came in, it's completely corrupt. But anyway,
that's an interesting one you raised there. That one, and because I think about it like this: if you're forcing people to pay taxes for all their life, and then you restrict them from having access to certain privileges that that it's the purpose of paying taxes if they don't comply with these requirements. So it seems a little unfair from just looking at it like that. So I can appreciate how that can fire someone up.
Oh, definitely, and that's how the party formed. Last year was the first state election, and there's 93 electorates in Queensland. We had 31 candidates, And every one of them were mums and dads or just people in the community who were saying, no way anyone's giving me a jab. No way someone's going to tell me what to do with my body. And that's how we ended up with 31 candidates, which is massive for a new party.
Yes.
It was very exciting, and we got quite a lot of support, which was even better. But what I'm seeing, interestingly, this time, there's only the one electorate running, obviously, because it's a by-election, and the support is massive. We've had an incredible increase in support this time round, which is amazing. Lots of people sending me messages, congratulating me and saying good luck and well done and how can I help. So it's definitely people are waking up to the idea that our rights are being stripped away, and it's good to see.
I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful.
Mm-hmm.
People think I'm a cynical bastard all the time with my videos, but I'm hopeful that people will start to take a little bit more interest. I know when we first had, I think the state election here, there was one gentleman I interviewed. He started a political party out of nowhere because he was just over it. And
who was that?
I can't remember now. I don't think he got it across the line. He didn't get the 500 signatures. He got close, but he left it much too late. Because it's a huge challenge what you're doing. I don't think a lot of people realize how much work. And I'll bring up the map here of Stretton. This is a lot of square meterage, a lot of area that you need to canvass. You need to go out there and to get exposure. It's exhausting, even going around to all the poll booths on the day.
Yes, there's 5. There's going to be 5 booths this time, which is a lot better than 12. And there's only one pre-polling booth at Acacia Ridge on Learoyd Road, which is handy. Although they're not providing a toilet, just saying, if you feel the need to go while you're voting, you'll have to go to Bunnings.
Bunnings probably did that on purpose, so you go and buy things there. It's a brilliant marketing strategy.
That's right. If you're prepared to put on don your mask and sign in your QR codes, then I guess you can head off to Bunnings.
Yeah. Yes. I mean, if they shut down the Bunnings and the pubs, then Australia's really in trouble.
I know. And why aren't people saying this is not okay? I don't really feel the need to hand over my information every time I go into a shop.
It's starting to. More people are getting frustrated with it because it's a pain in the ass. Even just wearing a mask going around, it's quite uncomfortable and frustrating that they expect you to wear it outside. So it's just crazy.
And it's not even legal. So let's just get that bit out of the way. To ask people to do that. So
a lot of people won't care though. That's the problem. They'll just go along with the crowd because they're not involved and they're not stepping up. So I mean, are you getting a lot of support from the general public? You're saying you're getting more people contacting you, more people sending you messages and congratulating you. Do you have a team of people that's helping you to man the booths?
Yeah. Well, it won't be too difficult to man the booths because they're only allowing 2 people at the booths, which is ridiculous. And one of them's me. So it means every single day, only 2 people allowed. But I do need a lot more help, because we've got 20,000 homes to hit with flyers this week. The ECQ was kind enough to drag out the endorsement of our flyers, so they may not be ready for Monday. Yay! Anyway, but we're going to drop them around the houses when they arrive.
I got some dodgy flyers.
What did you get?
The family members of the previous candidate trying to shame LNP for using his photo, even though that's what they said it was. Even though if we have a look here, he's on the ABC website as the previous candidate and all this stuff, and this was literally hand printed and some kids walking around putting it in the letterbox. So that happened yesterday, just as I was walking around, so it's going to be an interesting one. I thought it was kind of poor form, really, to kind of try and shame another party for just using images of someone. You're a public figure, you're going to be there forever. You're going to be remembered on Wikipedia. So that didn't really impress me very much. And I'm not sure if they're even allowed or if they're endorsed, because it was like printed on black But, interesting things happen around here when it comes to elections. So we'll have to see.
That's one of the things I really struggle with and have always struggled with is all the shaming of other parties to get yours seen. We're not interested in shaming parties. We just want people to know that we're here for, and there's the wrong side there, freedom of speech and choice. And, of course, we want to be able to say there's no mandatory vaccines. I don't really need to shame any other parties around that. I just need to get that message out.
Well,
my body, my choice.
Why don't we have a look at some of the policies of the Informed Medical Opinions Party? You've got vaccination, remove no jab, no pay policies here. If we go down, parental support, increase parental leave to 12 months, advocate for natural and midwife-assisted births. This is an interesting one from our perspective. We're expecting a sixth. We've gone through the midwife group practice at the MARTA, which is entirely midwife-run, which is great when you have no complications. Oh, wow. You're in and out within a day. Awesome. Within a day. So no hospital time, no beds, no wasted money. But then
home births are actually, when you do the numbers, say when you have a home birth or those assisted programs, I think it's an $800 per birth reduction in costs for the government. So I'm not sure why they're not endorsing, making that more of an available option. It's a good question.
Rachel would never want to do a home birth. She wants the gas. I suggested it to her. We came close. I think it's also the mess. You don't want to clean it up. If you do it at the hospital, someone else cleans up all the mess. That alone could be enough for it.
That's true.
Yes. You've got...
I had my last one at home by mistake, so not entirely on purpose. That was probably the last time I was in the media, but anyway.
We left with contractions 3 minutes apart or something stupid like that. Whoa. So, yeah. In the hospital, then 10 minutes the baby was out, so... It was.
That's great.
Yeah, so I'm worried now. Being one of those people on the side of the road. I mean, that's one way to get attention if you're running for politics. Just pump out a kid in the electorate. Yeah.
Well, I just had one on the front stairs of my house. That's where I had my third one, delivered by Ambos. So that was a bit unexpected.
Oh, well, there you go. Good.
Maybe you can do that one. You can do that if you like. Feel free to share that. Those options.
Yeah. That's it. That's all natural, good quality. Queensland stairs. Can't complain.
Yep.
You've got also, protect the rights of every parent to choose not to vaccinate their child. Needs to be recognised in law. So really, it's about freedom of choice.
Everything.
There seems to be a move away from a move away from parental rights in our culture, just in generally, in some of the things that's being pushed forward. It's more the state is to replace the parent in some regards. And you talk to a range of medical practitioners, and it's some of them are quite frustrated with it, or even teachers, what they have to say and what they have to report. It's a little concerning.
I have a question about that too. I mean, did anybody get the child's consent to be injected? Just a question.
Yeah. Oh.
They're a human too.
Yeah. No, you're right.
Human rights.
Health, defend the right for Australians to choose traditional and natural therapies, legalise medicinal cannabis in all states, promote organic food and farming, promote GMO-free food and labelling. I'm a fan of increased labelling so public know what they're actually eating. I'd love all food to just have how much sugar is in it as a percentage on everything.
That'd be great.
That'd scare a lot of people. Develop
wheat.
Oh, don't get me started about that.
I think it's something like 92% of packaged food has wheat in it.
We're very food. When people say the standard diet, it's so much processed stuff in it. It's really kind of scary how much people eat. You don't realize it until you go down the rabbit hole. For me, looking at things like the 7-country study by Keynes, and how that was now being debunked, and how it's the basis of so much of our medical and food advice, that was kind of a red pill for me to start questioning all these things that are put forward in the media narrative and from the politics. So that's why I think a healthy dose of skepticism should be encouraged among people.
Definitely.
So, develop alternative options for psychiatric healthcare instead of drugs. remove ties between Australia and the W Health Organisation. I think that might,
Yes.
a lot of people might be interested in that one at the moment.
And the UN would be great.
But then where will our politicians go to retire when they finish their careers? Isn't that's got to be your plan, you know? Work at state, and then go and retire and sit in a nice cushy job at the UN. Yes.
Yeah, apparently that's a thing, yeah.
Remove fluoride from all Australian water supplies. Now, I think a lot of people are complacent about just the whole point of putting fluoride in the water. And, I mean, I'm one of them. I never really thought into it much, but my wife has been looking into it, and as a pregnant woman, she's concerned of the potential implications of it. And I honestly think it's a waste of money, really. I think the thing that's causing cavity isn't not having fluoride in the water, it's all the sugar and crap people eat, particularly when they're children.
Yeah. Well, what people don't understand is what they're calling fluoride is not what they're advertising it to be. It's actually a byproduct of aluminium smelting, and they put it in our water for well, it kind of dulls the brain a bit. I guess that's helpful for the politicians, but the fluoride is a neurotoxin, and it causes brittling of the arterial, the arteries in the heart. It causes it brittles, and they break. Brittling of the bones as well. There's lots of different, I actually went to a talk about it just recently. There's an expert here in Brisbane named Colin, and he might be a really good guy to have on your show as well to ask those questions, because he's amazing with his knowledge.
There was a recent
people
study.
Just don't understand it's a toxin anyway.
Oh, there was a recent study that showed a difference in IQ from populations with regards to high levels of fluoride in water and low levels. So, I mean, that could explain a lot right there, why everyone seems to be getting dumber and dumber and dumber. Or maybe I'm just getting too cynical. That and social media, boom, you know?
No, it's true. The statistics are out there. It's definitely information to back that up. Peer-reviewed.
This is the thing. People become complacent. And so, I mean, I would advocate it should be someone's choice. If they want it, they can put tablets in their own water and do it at home. Rather than mass doing it. Save us some money too. We got to, cut some government spending. That'd be good. Reduce taxes. I like that idea.
And we're still waiting, I think, for the Labor budget, which was supposed to be released before the election last year.
Oh, it's just going to be a big black hole of money spending. It seems to be the trend now at federal and state levels. Just burning through more money. We've got here abortion. Queensland government currently have a bill in place to allow full-term abortions. We oppose this bill,
very disturbing,
and we'll seek to remove it as a priority as soon as we are elected into Parliament, with the intention to review all abortion laws. What concerns me with this is like programs like Emily's List, where they groom female politicians up the Labor ranks with the understanding that they will mandate full-term abortion for everything, and yeah, I mean, we have a child who would normally be aborted, a little boy that's got Down syndrome, and when you see him going around and being a normal human, it kind of really rams it home that we're selectively culling people who aren't genetically pure enough for us, and that's what it is, a genocide. So
yes,
I mean that's encouraging for me to see that you've got a policy like that, because I mean I'm a pro-life advocate, because I'd advocate for a person.
Yes.
We've got the Support the Child Born Alive bill. Yeah, I mean, when you look into this, because I honestly think most people don't look into abortion. Most people, unless you have actually go through it or you're interested in it, I think people would be quite shocked at what happens. And
yes.
I mean, there's now parts around in Queensland. I actually started mapping all of the clinics. It was a rather depressing exercise, and the areas around it where you can't protest, or you can't have free speech, or you can't even talk about it anymore. So there's all these zones where you can't do anything.
I didn't know that. That's disturbing.
Yeah, I couldn't do that much longer. It was too depressing mapping them all where they all are.
I can see how. I've actually had someone just attack me on my stance on abortion on Facebook. Someone's trolling me about my stance on abortion, and he was quite rude about it, the whole thing. Asking me what my telling me what my stance is. And I said, I'm curious. What is my stance? I'd love to know. Like he's just dishing it up as a troll.
Yeah, you'll find that a lot. You know, particularly on Twitter. You know, particularly on Twitter.
I haven't got to that platform yet.
Oh well, good luck. Good luck if you're going on there. Planetary pollution. Conduct an independent environmental impact review of all government-approved pesticides. And support Indigenous cultures to seek advice and allow them to have freedom of choice for their traditional medicine over mainline medical interventions. I honestly think the worst thing we did for Indigenous cultures was introduce them to our diet, to be honest. When you look at the pictures back in the day, all these, you know, skinny, fit men, and now, you know, they're just like all us too. So it's kind of sad.
And I just want to bring your attention to one you skipped over there, back there.
Which one?
The ban 5G.
5G.
Independently tested.
Yes.
So why don't we have independent studies on the effects of 5G? Or why is the government not accepting them? They do exist. I've got
political
friends,
political motives, I think.
Yeah, totally. But I've got some friends who are part of a global group who are recording the I'm terrible with these words, but anyway, you know, like the dirty energy that's coming off the 5G towers. They're going all over Australia and helping this global team to record them.
Okay, I think the problem is it's like that with all studies or investigations. If there's a potential for it to be politically biased, they may just simply dismiss it. You know, that's you see that happening all in all.
Well, I guess my question is, I mean, who is comfortable with all these new towers going up? You know, who's feeling great about that? And what is the effect on our birds and on our bees?
I think
I don't know how many. Sorry, I was going to say I just don't know. I don't know how many. I run a community page that's totally separate from any political things. It's just the community. And the amount of posts I see coming up on a regular basis about just dead birds lying around with no clear indication of how they died.
Okay.
It's a continuous phenomenon on community pages. So something worth looking at.
I'm still shocked. There's a block of land near this electorate where literally there's a pylon tower going right on the block. And someone bought it to build a house on it. I mean, sure,
way.
You know, sure, okay, but still, I just think the aesthetics. If anything, that just shows you how crazy property is here in Australia. You know, you'll have the real estate agent will Photoshop out the tower, and then someone will buy it online and not even look at it.
You have to wonder. Yeah, exactly. Well, yeah, there's that, but you have to wonder too. It probably would have been really cheap. And it probably came with some contract that means you can't, you know, sue anybody when you end up with radiation poisoning or, you know, whatever.
I don't know. I would not be shocked if it was expensive with the way property's going in Queensland at the moment.
We'll just have to look it up. We'll do that little property search cost thing. That's always a bit of fun.
Education support community schools and more support for alternative and homeschooling. This one I quite like because we are involved in a distance education school. So not only do we have 5 children, we homeschool them. And
wow.
Or homeschool distance ed. And just we did one term of day school, and just the time you have to waste going there, going back, doing this, jumping through this hoop, and the fact they had more screen time at the proper school than at the distance school where we're teaching for a primary school student, that really surprised me. So, I mean, this is encouraging to see.
I have a question for you around that, actually. I mean, and to everybody watching, how would you feel? I mean, this is happening. How do you feel about that? You remember this when parents were not allowed on the school grounds, like in the past year?
Yes,
like you're not allowed school grounds because you could bring your COVIDs with you, and you know, not that your children aren't coming home with you and then going back out home the next day, because you know, COVIDs once you cross the school boundary, they disappear apparently. But when you come out, they could possibly be there. But you know, and apparently parents can only. And it just makes no sense, and I would feel extremely uncomfortable not being able to enter the premises where my children are, you know, being held.
Well, yeah, I think we just one of the lockdowns we had here, I happened to be at the school, and this was the day school when we did it during a term. I happened to be there just as they had the parent visit day. You know, you can all rock up and have a look at the school. And I mean, I saw a classroom where they're combining three classes together in one room, 90 students. So the sound decibels was hitting over 90. It was insane. I don't know how you could. I measured it on my phone because I was frustrated.
Wow.
I'm paying all this money for the school, and I'm going, what is going on here? Because you know, I'm an architect, and we have to design to make the spaces quiet. Because normally when you study, you want peace and quiet to learn, but nope. And so then that was just when this new lockdown came in. So I had to leave because I didn't have a mask or anything like that when I was there. And that was kind of the final nail in the coffin for us, going, you know, we'll stick to how we've been doing it, and we appreciate it that way. But it's the thing is, if you want to do the homeschooling or the distance schooling, you really have to make some sacrifices in your life. You can't really have what's now considered both parents having to work. You know, we've got the wife working from home, and I'm working from home, so it's kind of a little different. We're kind of privileged that way, and I'm encouraged to see that you're supporting those alternatives, because some of the outcomes from the kids, you know, completely selfishly from a parent, you can actually be really involved in the education, and you know where they're struggling, you know where they're doing well, and you're not leaving it to someone else. And then all of a sudden they come back and you don't know what they learned, and you're shocked that your 5-year-old can't read, and you know it's more how it used to be.
I remember with my one of my kids, he went to his first year of school. And this is when prep was just starting to come in. It was the year of the changeover, where some kids were going into year one if they were born in this particular time of year, and the other ones were going to go to prep. And I had specifically requested that the school put him into prep, like to wait. And they said, no, he's fine. And it was, I think, 6 or 7 weeks into the first term before they told me, oh, he's really struggling. I'm like, that would have been helpful in the first week or two. Maybe like, you know, how can I assist to make that easier? But to not know until nearly the end of term is a bit late to hear your kids struggling. Whereas, like you say, you would know from you're working with them from home. You know if they're having trouble. You know if they're not ready to start. You have a lot more governance over what your kiddies are up to.
It's not all, you know, happiness and sunshines. It can get really frustrating when they don't want to do work. And it's fun because we've got our oldest is 8 years old now, and she just loves reading. She's a voracious reader, and she goes, "Oh, reading's great." And I go, "Yeah. You would have said that 2 years ago when you were having a screaming fit because I wanted you to read a book." Goes, "No, never. That never happened. Never happened." So this is why you need to record it. Yes. or you're at a distance ed function, and there's a woman there who's got like 12 kids or something, and someone asks her, how did your kids find it? My son had all these problems, and now he's over there with his own child in the same schools or distance ed school. Wow. So it is it's a different world, but there are a lot of benefits to it as well. I feel like it's more traditional, how it used to happen. You wouldn't be, these modern schools are a modern invention. They're only around for 100 years, 200 years. Traditionally, you'd be taught in the home, in the family. Okay, well, let's have a look at a few more policies. You've got end animal cruelty and farming using medication. Human rights, bring back freedom of choice and speech regarding vaccination. I want freedom of speech for everything, to be honest. Absolutely. And
that'll be great.
We don't really have it. A lot of people don't realize how little we have no freedom of speech here in Australia. The Human Rights Charter that Victoria has, all it means is the bureaucrats have to do a whole lot of paperwork before they can implement anything they want. So it's kind of a joke, Yeah.
And we've seen a lot of legislation changes behind, closed doors. When we had these lockdowns, suddenly there's all these legislative changes when you come back. I don't know if you've seen what happened with Medicare in the last lockdown. A lot of the Medicare rebates have been removed or changed or, have you seen that come up?
I saw it. I saw they were reviewing some of them, but I'm not sure if that was tied to the lockdowns. I mean, they're going to be burning through money like anything now at the federal level. We got 1.3 trillion in debt. So, we're going to pay the price for all this money they've been handing out. one way or another. You know, that's what it's going to come. It'll be coming.
Yeah.
Demand government truth and transparency. Disclose all conflicts of interest. Yeah, that'd be good. As Australia is the only liberal democracy without a constitutional Bill of Rights or comprehensive federal human rights legislation, take for granted that we're not adequately protected against legislative excess. Yeah, so you want a Bill of Rights, so which is good. And business, support small business. Fantastic, I love that. Less regulation and red tape and laws. Yep, no, that's I spoke to a gentleman who's actually running for the LDP, the Liberal Democrats Party, looking at a council level, and their whole push is just to reduce regulation and duplication. I mean, you've seen it. Starting a business here in Australia is such a pain. And one of the comments I constantly bring up on my channel is the fact that everyone's in property here in Australia. Everyone thinks property is the way to get ahead, to make your millions. And no one wants to start a business. It's harder for you to borrow money to start a business and to create jobs than it is just to buy a house. And then we get this mess where everyone's just in housing.
Yes.
Protect community banks and cash. Stop foreign ownership of businesses, land and water. And investigate the negative legislative impact of Australia's membership to the United Nations. So, you know, quite an interesting range of policies that, well, I think most people would be interested in. So this is the thing with the Informed Medical Opinions Party. A lot of people would frankly... Sorry? Options, sorry.
Party.
Oh, you've changed. Yeah, I'm out of date. But most... the media would just slam you as a bunch of crazy anti-vaxxers and not give you the time of day. I mean, that's the media's game. You see that's what the mainstream media does. Rather than engaging with groups of citizens and people here in Australia that have valid opinions that they want to share and get out there and have debate about, they'll just dismiss you, and most people won't even engage.
Yeah, and I think this is, and what I'd like to sort of, let's say, bring into that part of the conversation is how important the vote is, and how important it is to know how to vote. If we did one thing last election, in the state election, it was educating. I reckon 90% of our campaign was educating people how to vote. What we find is the people who support our party are people who haven't voted in a long time. Like, they either don't vote at all, or they just put a Mickey Mouse, picture, or a, whatever, some message they think that the government's going to get, which they never do, by the way. The only way you're going to get your message across is to put 5 numbers in the boxes, in the 5 boxes that are available in this election. So, putting them in an order of 1 to 5 in your preference, what you think is best for you. But if you put a smiley face on there, or some rude comment you think is going to get somewhere, that just makes the vote invalid and doesn't get counted for us, or for whoever you're voting for. But the point is mostly it's all about us, no? Vote one IMOP, Jazzy Melhop, IMOP number 1.
I think it's...
Sorry, go.
I one of the things we don't appreciate here in Australia is the fact that we've got our preferential voting system. You can't waste your vote here in Australia. If someone wants to support your party and they feel, it's a waste of a vote, well, no, they can put you as a upper preference, and then put another party they want. If you hit a certain number as a minor party, you can get some financial support. Each vote is, back in the last time I was looking, like $3 a vote, and that can help put a dent in all of the costs that the parties have to run for these elections. Because this is all volunteer. I'm sure hopefully you're getting some funding from, and volunteers and people are supporting, but a lot of people who run for minors, it comes out of their own pocket.
Yes, it does.
And
we're only a brand new party, as I was saying, established in 2016. So we don't have the big bucks, the tens of thousands of dollars that the other parties get to spend. So, I'm 100% relying on volunteers. Like today, I'm, dressed in my let's get out in the community and put up some core flutes. Woohoo! These ones behind me. If you want to help out, that'd be fabulous. I'm relying on volunteers for everything. We hopefully will have our flyers out, so people will start seeing them in their letterboxes in the electorate over the next weekend. And of course, you're welcome to come and chat to us at the polling booths as well. I'll be at pre-polling as much as possible. Obviously, I work as well. I have my own business, and so I'm going to have to try and keep my clients happy and everybody. But yeah, volunteers. We've got a donations page for anyone who feels inclined to help us out, which would be fabulous. You can go to imoparty.com and then look on my. You can look for my candidate page.
Candidate.
And it's.
There we go. There you go. Look.
Got the wrong thing on it there. But yeah, click on that one.
Yep.
Yeah,
they've got to update it.
We're still updating the website. But you'll see there's an account you can put donations into there. But excitingly, there's also, if you just go a little further into that little link there, you can actually win a Thermomix.
Thermomix. I don't get I don't get the Thermomix. I do not get it. All these women are crazy about it. Well, it's just a blender, isn't it? What's so special about it? Seriously.
It does everything. You just throw out all your appliances. You just have one on your bench, maybe with the size of your family too. But here's a great way to start your collection. It cooks, it cleans, it washes your dishes.
So it does it all for you. Go on. See,
that's right. It does the vacuuming. But as you can see, they're valued at $2,200, I think, something like that.
$2,000. Wow.
Yeah, and it's great for your kiddies. Actually, it's fantastic for the kiddies because they do it gives instructions on what to put into the Thermomix when and how much, and it weighs it all and it does all the whole the thing. It's great for kiddies to learn, and you just plug in the little chip and it gives you all the recipes, and it's kind of cool.
I'm so not the demo.
Yeah,
I'm so not the demo.
I'm not the best person to talk about that, but lots of people do understand the Thermomix and they know it's a big spend. So here's an opportunity to buy a ticket and get one for free. It's only for people in Australia, but anywhere in Australia. So if you know anybody who loves them, share the link. That would be amazing. I'm super grateful.
Yep.
There's only 300 tickets in the raffle, and I believe we've only got about 80 left. They've sold very quickly, which is great. But yeah, so that's another opportunity to help out. Like, even if you can't donate, if you don't have the dollars to donate, if you don't have the dollars to buy, a ticket for the Thermomix, and you don't have time to drop flyers and help us out, you can share a link. There's no cost in that for you. It takes seconds, and we're really grateful if you can.
Well, yeah, even just exposure. That's one of the biggest challenges for a minor party is getting exposure. I know years ago there was a gentleman, an architect, who was running for mayor, and no one wanted to talk to him. You just couldn't get the exposure, and that's the biggest challenge. But that's also where social media and YouTube and platforms like this allow you to get your message out there, and to kind of circumvent the media's narrative that may be somewhat disingenuous that they put forward about you and your party. Is there anything you'd like to add before we finish up? I think we've covered. Definitely the policies your party's standing for, why you're running, and people will get to meet you at the pre-polling, and you'll be doing the rounds on the day, I imagine. But as you said, you've got to work.
As much as possible. Yeah, I'll be there. Yeah, and we do the long yards. We stand there all day long. Even if you can come by and say, hey, some words of encouragement. And if you see our volunteers out there, like dropping flyers in your letterbox, can you give them a cheer for us? Because those guys are doing this for nothing. They're just so excited to have a party to vote for, because so many people can just see that the Labor, Liberal, Greens thing is like wings of the same bird, and they just feel like they're not being heard or their needs are not being met. As far as I know, we're the only party, I'm pretty sure we're the only party saying no to the mandatory COVID vaccine. And I think that's what probably been our number one. I mean, people say, oh, you're just a one policy party. It's like, actually, we're the most important. Right now, this is the most important policy that we have. And as you said, we've gone through all the policies. We have lots of them. We're not a one policy horse. Oh, you know what I'm saying?
One policy party.
One policy party. Thank you.
Yep.
but this is the most important one, and freedom of speech. We're just losing our rights on a daily basis. It's very concerning, and I think if you're actually, no, I'm not going to go there.
Well,
I'll save that for another one.
My entire channel was removed, suspended about probably a week ago with no notice. So boom. Oh. Fortunately, I got it back. I probably upset a few people. But that's the challenge of using this YouTube platform. It has a lot of benefits, but it also has some inherent risks. It's still better than dealing with some dodgy people in the construction industry. So I feel much worse there.
Wow.
But what's maybe one of the last questions I'll put to you? What's your stance on lockdowns? You know, is your party fully supportive of restricting us all, or you know, you're advocating for opening up and letting businesses run?
Businesses should absolutely be open and running. We need to get Australia, we need these local businesses to be able to open. It's so interesting in these lockdowns how it's the $1 million businesses who are allowed to stay open and keep running, and the tiny ones who are closed. You know, this could have been, the whole situation could have been handled by taking care of the vulnerable and, you know, supporting them and getting on with herd immunity, which actually cannot be achieved through vaccination, which, by the way, are completely unsafe and ineffective. So, you know, if you get this vaccination and you still can't travel and you still can't go out in the community without a mask on.
We call them face nappies in my family.
Yeah, the muzzles. If you can't go out without a mask on and you've had all your vaccines, what's that about? And I'm not sure if you've seen how many people are trying to cross, like, the Western Australian border, for example, the Northern Territory right now. And they're like, no, we've had our vaccines. And they're like, we don't care, go home. We're not coming across the border. So what is the point of getting this?
It does feel very disproportionate from a risk perspective, the response. I mean, I was looking back. There used to be arguments against these type of strict interventions in the economy to mitigate these illnesses because the evidence isn't there that it actually makes any difference. And the damage to the economy, there's certainly a lot of evidence of that. And you're right, it does feel like it's the big guys that are, you know, the Bunnings, the Coles, or all the big ones that are, you know, just continuing to go business. And it's the middle class, the small business owners, the entrepreneurs that are just getting crushed more and more. And we're already they're already a dying breed in Australia, I feel, in many regards, and this isn't going to help them. So
yeah, and look at it's there's nothing suspicious, of course, about or the tourism being shut down because we have lockdowns on school holidays. Just saying.
Yeah. Oh, well, you know, you
the
can't...
tourism industry is being crushed. It's absolutely being crushed. Yeah. And tourism in Australia, that's kind of one of our big things that we promote. You know?
It's right up there with iron ore. It's a huge industry. I looked at some of the bankruptcy stats, and you can see it right up the coast. Right up the coast, you know, North Queensland, there's all these businesses that are just struggling. And I would hate to own a cafe. I would hate to have a front-facing business these days because you could get locked down at any moment. Then all your stock's gone, you know, through no fault of your own.
Yeah, and I would say they're running, you know, on some pretty low funds because they've have to half the amount of people they can have in their place, you know, where they're used to much higher profits. I mean, who would get into the food industry now? It wouldn't make any sense because you can allowed to have 6 people in the whole premises. You know, you're not going to make any money on a handful of people coming into your shop. It's going to be another dying industry. I'm confused about, you know, these QR scanning into places like your chiropractor or your, you know, massage or whatever. Why would you need that? They got all of your information. They know who you are. You booked the appointment. They know what time you're going to be there. And I know that some people's argument on that is that that the QR scanning is a different thing and they should be able to, you know, obviously people, it's a privacy issue to be tapping into your chiropractor's, you know, information on you. I get that. But why do we need to do it anyway? And it's completely against any laws that we have here in Australia. The QR scanning is a big issue for me. I'm having a big problem with it. I don't.
We've got a very paternalistic culture where where everyone expects the government to take care of people. They don't expect you to, if you're at risk, to have the good sense of your own initiative, inform the people you've been contacted. They don't trust the people. That's really what it comes down to. We're treated like children. We're not treated like adults. And
we're at the risk of becoming, with everything going on, we're basically at the risk of on the brink of becoming a communist nation, the way things are heading.
Well, show me your
economic
papers.
Disaster. Sorry, yeah.
Show me your papers.
The border. Hello. When have we ever had borders?
Every time I hear that about needing papers to cross the borders, I want to go watch Red October for the scene where they're going from I could go across all of the United States without papers. That's what I instantly think about. I go back to the Soviet times. But I mean, if you had have spoken about these risks just a couple of years ago, about this all happening, the entire country getting locked down, people having no freedom, people having to scan with their phones every time they go into somewhere, people would have thought you'd be a crazy nutbag. That's what it would have been. And now,
well, the past 12 months, it's so funny. You see this all the time. People saying, 12 months ago, this was a conspiracy theory, and now it's actually happening. One of the funniest things that stood out for me when I was running as a candidate in the state election was I was invited to a Meet the Candidates breakfast. And so there was 7 of us up on the stage because there was, 2 electorates in one. And all the questions were about the economy. I'm like, where's the questions about vaccines? That's really important to me. Where's the questions about health and how to promote it? And anyway, it was so interesting. The Labor incumbent, in one of his economic questions, he was asked about how we're going to build Queensland's economy after this, COVID crisis. And he said, we'll be bringing pharmaceuticals to Queensland. We're going to bring a pharmaceutical company here, and we're going to do needleless vaccines. Now, 6 months beforehand, that was a conspiracy theory. And here he was talking on stage about it. It was a golden opportunity for me to say, I just want to thank the Labor incumbent for bringing up the topic of vaccines. And is everybody in the room aware that our Prime Minister has given liability immunity to the vaccine makers of this COVID one? And it's so funny, the bell's ringing, stay on topic. I'm like, is it? Pretty sure it's a hot topic.
Yeah, that indemnity from liability, I think, and you hear that and you wonder why there's such a hesitancy in the population. The media's surprised people are hesitant when they've got indemnity from any issue. People this far removed from normal people.
And I strongly suggest people get on the TGA website. I mean, we already know statistically that 1 to 10% of adverse reactions are actually reported at all. The doctors are generally asked not to report these things, or what do you call it? Suggested. Anyway, there's some wording there I just can't come with up at the moment. But my point is, now I've lost it totally. Sorry, let's go back there. Where were we?
The fact that there's such indemnity in. Doctors are indemnified, the manufacturers are indemnified, and that's leading to hesitancy in the population. You want to be able to sue someone if they screw you, honestly.
Yeah, well, you wouldn't buy a car with liability immunity. But my advice to people is to get onto the TGA website. Here in Australia, we have no regulation. I think maybe there's one being formed or whatever for vaccine injury. The TGA is currently where those things are reported. If you jump on there and have a look, you'll have to screen through the fine print, but you're going to see how many people have died from the vaccine versus how many people have died from COVID this year. I think it's the last time I looked was the July 1st, and it was looking like 1 death from COVID 1, and COVID vaccine 335. Now, if we keep going at this rate, if we keep going at that rate, how fast are we going to be able to surpass the people who have actually died of COVID here in Australia?
Well, it's because what the number of people who've gotten it's 30,000 as opposed to 8 million doses. That's the thing. It's always going to look worse.
Well, those same statistics, which you can find on the TGA website, had 34,000 adverse reactions reported so far by the 1st of July.
It seems to be it's mixed depending on who you talk to. Some people have had reactions, others not at all. I mean, there's some YouTubers I follow, who take days off from putting out content after they got it.
Yep.
So,
well, I want to put this to you. I personally don't know anyone who's had the COVID virus. I don't know anyone. And not only that, I don't know anybody who knows anybody who's had it, okay? I know a lot of people, but what I will say is that as a practitioner, I see clients. So I'm seeing firsthand people who have adverse reactions, extreme adverse reactions to the vaccine. And I've also got close family friend who's ended up in hospital with heart condition. And so that's an interesting number comparison that I don't know anyone who knows anyone, but I know firsthand people who are having adverse reactions. It's quite significant.
It is concerning, particularly all the issues that young men are having with regards to their hearts and their swelling there. That scares me a little bit too. Although I'm not young anymore, apparently.
And those are not the only side effects for men, so I hear. Let's just put that out there.
Oh, well, people will have to go digging, as they should, if they're concerned. There's nothing wrong with that.
And I had a friend who contacted me this morning, last night and this morning, who I haven't spoken to in about 15, 16 years. And she said that she put a comment on, I think it was like Instagram or something, stating her concern about a family member who is now in dire straits in hospital after having the vaccine. And she said, look, I put up a comment about that and I've been absolutely slammed. She said, I haven't made a decision about whether I'm going to get it or not, but I should be able to say my opinion about it without being crucified online. Now, that family, her close families who are in hospital have been told they are not allowed to speak to the media. Now, why would that even come up when somebody's sick in hospital?
Yeah, that's disturbing.
I think it's like the number one thing you'd want to do is speak to the media.
Yes, yeah. But how can they say you're not allowed to speak to the media?
How did that even come up?
There you go.
It's yeah. Oh, look, I could rave on about this stuff forever. And it's funny. Another little funny thing I wanted to point out is where I work. Down the road, about 40 meters down the road, a little bit, and across the road, there's this big football field. Right at the entrance to the football field is a COVID testing station. Now, I don't know about you, but if I'm going to have a medical procedure, which is PCR test is a medical procedure, am I going to want to do that in the middle of a field or perhaps in a more medical environment that's sterilised and stable? I don't know.
I think a lot of it as well is a sense of fear in the greater community, so they're willing to compromise more than they would otherwise. And we're seeing how that's playing out through everything.
It's a great way to instill fear in people by putting these little COVID stations in parks. Why did children need to see that? And I'm so concerned about the next generation who are just not seeing smiling faces when they go out. We know that children under 12 are not supposed to be wearing masks, but I went shopping the other day. I'm in Woolworths looking for one person not wearing a mask. Just one, please. And then there's these little children. They were probably, I'm going to say 5 and 7, maybe around about that age. And they had masks on. And the mother is adjusting the mask because the child is trying to breathe through her nose by putting the mask just under her nose. She's 5, or she's lucky she's 5. They're not supposed to be wearing them at all.
Yeah, I've seen that too. It's kind of sad, really, for seeing a little toddler doing it. I'm hoping they're just trying to mimic the parents, but yeah, That's
and
it.
making it trendy to wear a mask. Let's make some groovy masks. I mean, like, I'm sorry, you what now? I had a guy try to convince me to put one on the other day because it had cute duckies on it, and I should probably like that.
I thought it'd be a good one. How that when they're a mask, where you put the picture on there where it said, remember flatten the curve, not flatten the economy, and just do a diagram of that one.
Yep, I've seen that one. That's a very good one too. And if you're sitting in a cafe, if you're wearing a mask, and then you go to a cafe and you sit down, you have your cup of tea, I'm pretty sure you're not afraid of a virus. I think you're actually afraid of your government.
Yeah. Oh, it's people behaving.
Conforming.
What's concerning is also that business owners can face 6 months jail if they don't have the QR system in place. All of these crazy things are coming in now.
And
putting
GPs,
all this responsible onto them.
And since April last year, I'm not sure how they brought this about so quickly, but since April last year, GPs can get 6 months in jail for prescribing ivermectin or hydroxychloroquine. I'm sorry, what and why?
Yeah, that seems odd. That seems quite odd
and
that they're doing that.
Timing. Well,
this is the thing.
April.
You don't want the state dictating to your medical professionals what they can and can't prescribe. That's occurred in socialist countries in the past, where they say you have to prescribe this. Anything else you get charged for or extra for, or it's disturbing what's happening here in Australia, and it's encouraging to see that people are getting involved and are partaking in our political system to try and make a difference and make some change, not just giving up. And I'd like to commend you, Jazzy, for stepping up and taking the time. And the next few weeks are probably going to be utterly exhausting for you going through this. And it's good to see that people are getting involved, and we're not just getting all of the standard politicians. All people are just disengaging. That's the thing I'm worried about the most, where people just disengage, write some rubbish on the voting poll, and then you just get the status quo. That's what I'm concerned about the most. Yeah.
Please vote properly. Please put a number in every box. When you guys in the electorate will all receive a flyer in your letterbox, okay? And it will have how I would personally vote. It's not how I'm telling you to vote, but it just gives you an idea of how your vote is going to be most heard.
Fantastic.
If you follow the directions are all on the flyer, and on the back of the flyer is our policies. Just some little short notes on our policies if you haven't had a chance to look online or go through them here too. So you can look forward to we can all look forward to those popping into our letterbox.
I'll keep an eye out for it. I'll let you know when it arrives, so you can follow up, chase them up if they get the whip cracking if they're not working hard enough. These volunteers.
And please, if you're in the electorate, please come and help us out. Or even if you live nearby or anything, we've got there's 20,000 homes to get those flyers out to.
Well, the electorate, I'll just show people. It keeps changing. Actually, it's funny how they. So this is it currently. 2009 to 15, it was here, and 6. It's changed. So it's funny how the electorates always tend to. I think we're also in Moreton Bay, and we're nowhere near the bay, but it keeps moving as the population grows, and they keep it to 100,000 people. So it's interesting to see.
Yes. So the electorate. The most electorates in Queensland are based on approximately 35 to 30,000 people.
Yep.
So that's why I think they keep shifting the borders to because the population, like you say, is growing, and they need to keep it to that number to keep it fair in all areas, I suppose. It'll be interesting to see how this one rolls out. Last in the state election, the electorate I was running for was the only one out of all 93 electorates in Queensland to have a mask mandate.
Oh, really?
In a time of no lockdowns.
Well,
so 93
last time
electorates in Queensland.
Would it be up here, Greenslopes?
Yeah, in Greenslopes. 93 electorates all over Queensland, and Greenslopes was the only one with a mask mandate. Please explain. And then I found out later, by the way, the Labor Party had special masks with Labor, vote one for Labor on the front of their masks. So it's no wonder they wanted everyone to wear a mask. Not saying that the Labor Party has influenced the ECQ or anything like that. I didn't say that. All I'm saying is that it was convenient for them.
Oh, you'll find that they've got the funds to make things happen real quick, you know? Whereas normal people don't have the money to quickly churn over some masks. You know, they probably pay it through the nose for it, literally.
Yeah, now they've got to use them up, you know, so they've got to...
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
I don't think they'll get away with wearing them in hospitals.
No.
Just saying.
I don't know, maybe some hospitals. But no,
maybe.
Thank you very much for your time. I wish you the best of luck. And I think it's good to see that more people are running, and hopefully people will not will vote properly. Will actually use their vote for the power that it has. And I would like more minors in the in our parliament, so our politicians actually have to work and talk to each other, not just vote blindly and not even worry about what's going on. Thank you very much for your time. Best of luck to you. And we've been going for an hour. It's been a good morning, Saturday morning chat. I haven't even had breakfast yet.
Yes.
So
No, me neither.
Best of luck to you. And hopefully it'll all work out, and you won't be too exhausted for it. And we'll see how you go.
And thank you, and everyone vote IMOP. Just saying, number one. Jazzy here.
Wonderful. Take care.
Thanks, mate. See you later.
No problem. All the best. Bye.
Bye.